Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing great. And I'm back with a new video today. Those who are new to my channel, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for getting notified for more such videos. So with that, let's get started. So in today's video, what I planned is I wanted to kind of switch gears, and instead of discussing or talking about Sterling B2B integrator, we all know how quickly we are slowly right like moving towards digital transformation, cloud technologies, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, right? And I also have introduced you to AWS Transfer Family, which is a cloud native managed file transfer. So those who are passionate about not only supporting and working on premise B2B platforms like Sterling Integrated Axway, but also like have a goal of slowly and steadily learning more of cloud native MFT or managed file transfer solutions so that they can excel in their career and make a switch. For those, this video might be very relevant. So with that, what I've done is like I initially earlier, if you remember, have introduced to AWS Transfer Family, which is the AWS offering of managed file transfer. So in today's video, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you a new feature that has been released a few months back, which is related to AWS Transfer Family Web Apps. So what is AWS Transfer Family Web Apps? It's basically a front end web browser, right? Which you can expose to your external business users or external users. They get to log in, they have a front end UI, and they get to log into that UI with their credentials that you provision and share with them. And based on what kind of permissions that you have given, they should be able to view their specific folders. And these folders are nothing but those are buckets which are storage location on the S3 simple storage service on Amazon Web Services. So at the back end, the storage is S3, and is basically using that front end for them to be able to then upload or download any files from their S3 bucket. So if the use case is that you just need to expose a browser for your external users for them to upload or download files. They don't need to have that robust infrastructure of setting up an AWS Transfer Family and other associated artifacts, but they can just get started using AWS Transfer Family waivers if the requirement is so simple, right? And they don't have to like pay for the AWS Transfer Family endpoints. So with that, I'm gonna show you quickly. Like I've already created the AWS Transfer Family Web Apps, but I'm going to tell you the four uh, tasks that you need to perform step by step to be able to create a web apps for your end users or business users. So with that, let me quickly share my screen. So if you see over here, how do you set up an AWS Transfer Family web app? So I'm going to share this link also in the description of my video. But there are typically four steps. If you see over here, you need to create the web app, right? You need to then create a S3 bucket where you're going to receive the files, right? Or let the files be there for getting it downloaded, right? If it is an outbound, and you have to set up the cross origin resource sharing or course, and then you have to create an instance which is your S3 access grants instance, and then you have to register the location, and then you have to access the AWS Transfer Family web apps. Now when you create a web app, before that there's a prerequisite that you need to have IAM or identity and access management identity center. Okay, IAM identity center, which is used for single sign-on. So you need to have IAM identity center. You can use your any external third-party uh, solution like Okta or any other IDB provider. You can integrate with IAM identity center. But if you're just using IAM identity center, you need to create the user account within the identity center. You need to then register that IAM identity center within the web apps for someone, okay, who you give access to should be able to then log in with the credentials that you have provided and created within the IAM Identity Center. So with that, I'm going to show you a quick like high level architecture diagram of this solution or web app, how it works. So you have IAM Identity Center, your user credentials and permissions are stored within that, and then you have this web app endpoint which is exposed to your external users. They use their credentials to log into the web app endpoint, and then they are able to download or upload files to their S3 bucket. So it is acting as a S3 storage browser typically, right? And on the S3 side, you need to create the S3 bucket. You need to give the cross-origin resource sharing policy attached, and then you need to create access grants, right? This is something that is being used for this entire architecture. Now let's go back to our console. So I'm going to show you what are the steps that I have taken before I show you the demo of it. All right. Now, the first thing that you would do is, as I mentioned, you need to go to your IAM Identity Center. If it is not enabled, you need to enable it. So I've already done it. If you go to IAM Identity, that is a single sign-on related service in AWS. Within that, if you see over here, once I've enabled it, I have created user accounts within this. All right. Now, for our scenario, I've created a user name called AWS Webapps. I've given a name, email address, and all that. And I've just created this account, and then I have enabled the MFA device for multi-factor authentication. And then uh, that's all I have done it in on the IAM Identity Center. So once I have created the user account, the next step is you go to your transfer family, AWS transfer family. Okay. And then within the transfer family, if you see on the left hand side, there's an option called web apps. This is a new feature. That's why it is tagged as new. You need to click on these web apps. And then all you need to do is like just select this create web app and create the web app. Like if I show you over here, you need to select like, okay, create a new service role. Your transfer family is connected to IAM Identity, so there is no other prerequisites that you need to perform. Now, based on how many concurrent users that you're expecting that would be using this web app, you can select the number of units. For us, I've just selected one, up to 250 concurrent sessions that it can handle, and then I've go next. And then you can like see, if you see over here the web app, you can actually design based on, you can customize based on your customer requirement. You can use their logos, you can use any specific title of the company, right, to make it more customized and personalized, right? You can do all that. And then all you need to do is just create a web app, and it's gonna, like, what it's gonna do is it's gonna create something like this, a web app with a web app ID and an access endpoint, right? Now all you need to do is, like, if you see over here within that web app, okay, what I've done is I've also like registered the user, right? So it is basically using the IAM Identity Center as the identity provider, and then this is the access endpoint that you are going to give as a link to be able to log in, and then the user account is registered over here, right? So that's what I've done. I'm gonna copy this for our demo purpose. Now the second thing that I've done is I've gone to S3. I've created a folder. Right now, if you have like multiple users and you want, like, let's say we have external trading partners and you want to create separate folders for each of the trading partners, you can do that way as well. So for our demo purpose, what I've done is I've created a my AWS Web Apps demo bucket. All right, and that's it. Within this, what I've done is I've went to permissions, and I mentioned I have given a policy attached, okay, which is called cross origin resource sharing. I've enabled that, and everything like is there, like what you need to do, okay, it's over here, like how, what exactly needs to be copy pasted. You can just follow this workshop, and then if you select like setup course, it has this, you can just copy paste this entire uh, code, right? So I've given this information. The main idea is you're actually giving the origins, the allowed origins, the endpoint, right, within that, and then all the get, put, post, like you're giving the methods that it is you're allowing to, right, to the S3 bucket. So once I've done that, I've created the S3 bucket, created the course sharing. Next thing that I've done is have created something called access grants. Like within S3, there's something called access grants. Access grants is basically a container with all your permissions for different users that you're providing, right? It's basically a container instance, kind of, right? It contains all the permissions and the credentials and everything. So what I've done is over here, if you see, all I've done is I've created this instance. There's a creation date, there's an account ID, and then there's an identity center I have registered over here, right? So if you see over here, this is actually going to take you to the IAM identity center. Now, I'm not going to go there, but all I'm going to show is I have created this access grants, all right, over here. And then the next thing that what I've done is, let me go back to the, so I'm going to show you over here. So see, if this is what I was talking about. I created this S3 access grants, right? And then the next thing what I've done is I've registered the location. So within that access grants, I have registered the S3 bucket that I've created my web apps, my AWS web apps bucket as a location. And then I have created the grant within that, right? Like what kind of permissions that you need to provide. All those details I have created within the access grants, right? So let's say if you see over here, this is uh, access grant, and I've created a grant and I've given read write access to the user, which is hosted within IAM Identity Center, right? I can restrict it to read or write, whatever it is, right? And then next thing, if you see over here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to access and I'm going to test my web app, right? Now, if you see over here, let me go back. Let's see. Access grants. And then you can, like, if you see over here, if I view details, this is what I've done, right? Like I have registered the location, as I was telling, and I have then created the grant, right? I have given read write identity user, right? So I've given that information, right? Now let's test the web app. So I'm gonna open a Cognito window for all of you, and I'm going to paste the endpoint. So this is the UI that you basically provide to your external users, which has just the requirement of logging and dropping a file or downloading a file. Now I'm going to give AWS Web Apps. All right. Now it is asking for the password. So I'm going to give the password and then the MFA code. So let me open my authenticator MFA and let me give the multi-factor authentication code. And then once it logs in, I kept it very simple. I haven't customized a lot, but if you see welcome to AWS Web Apps, he has access to my AWS Web Apps demo bucket that I showed. And then there are no files right now, but if you see over here, he has read write permissions. So he can create a folder and then he can upload a file. So let's say I create a folder, demo bucket, and then the folder is created, and then within that I have option of upload. So let's just upload. You can add a folder or add files, right? So let me upload a file, maybe this an HTML file, and upload. It's so simple. So you don't need a transfer family for this, right? So once, if you see it's completed, right? Now if I go back to my S3 storage location, and then if I open my AWS Web Apps demo bucket, you would see the bucket that the folder that I've created, right? Within the Web Apps, it's showing up over here, demo bucket. And then within that, if you see, I have the HTML file that I've just uploaded, right? So it's that simple. I hope this was useful, right? To all of you, I'm gonna share the link to this uh, tutorial, right, that you can use to create your own transfer family web app. And if you have any specific questions on transfer family web app, please reach out through comments, okay? And I'm gonna let you know, like, if you have any questions, like I'll help you to understand that in more detail. So with that, I'm gonna conclude today's session. I hope this was useful for folks who are new to this channel. Please hit the like, share, subscribe button, and hit the bell icon for getting notified for more such videos. Thank you.